David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. I'm your pastor and you're my sheep, and I'm the shepherd. And in this hand I have a rod, and this one is a staff. And I'll tell you what, do you ever feel like you're coming out fighting? And God says, you're going to stand alone on this, but I'm jerking you out. And I'm going to tell you to stand. And you're going to stand alone, and you're going to speak the word of the Lord. And you're going to make some things that I say happen. They're going to begin to happen. Because you'll stand. Do you remember last week when I told you that I had to stand at an altar? Remember the part God just kind of went through here last week? I stood at an altar. My hands were raised. The presence of God had not filled the room at youth camp. It was dry as the Sahara Desert, and God said, I want you to go stand up in the front. When they asked all of them to come up, they did this nice little prayer like, thank you, Lord. Bless them. Bless all the counselors and give them wisdom. He said, now raise your hands and stand there. And I thought, what? He dismissed us. He said, you're not dismissed. You're to stand right where I tell you, and you're to stand there with your hands raised. Then I felt a little bit like Moses, where he said, raise your hands and just keep them raised. And as long as your hands are raised, I'll fight the battle. If I told you today that everything in Michigan would change if you just raised your hand, how many hands would raise? Because it wouldn't be you fighting it. And when one of you got really tired, somebody else would reach out and they'd push your hand up with theirs, or they'd grab it and they'd hold it in place. Moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And he took his staff in his hand, he chose for him 5 smooth stones from the brook. That's because Goliath had some brothers. And he put them in his shepherd's bag, and a pouch which he had in his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine. Then all this assembly shall know the Lord does not save with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into his hands, is what he said. You just wait. You ain't seen my God yet. My God is tired of this crap. He didn't say it like that, but I did. So it was when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to meet David, that David hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. He did not saunter. He did not just casually walk. He just said, that's it. I'm ticked and I'm coming out. And he took that sling and he took those stones and he put one in there. And he began to. And when it flew, it connected. And then he took his head off. I believe that in prayer, God will defend his people. Amen. He'll never let one of you go hungry. Amen. Don't ever be afraid of it. Amen. He'll never let you go naked. Amen. Don't ever be afraid of it. He'll never let you be in want. Amen. I didn't say you're going to get all the foo-foo luxuries. You're probably not going to get the boat and the little sea-doo and all the stuff that might be on your want list at this moment, in this prophetic moment that we're heading in. But I'm going to tell you that he'll be your provision. And he'll be your protection. And under his wings, you will trust. His truth will be your shield, your defender, your buckler. You'll not be afraid for anything, the terror that comes by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day, nor anything you see. That's your God. That's the God that comes and stands beside you and inhabits your praise. They told me. Someone called me, I had a couple phone calls, a couple messages too. You know they're tracking you. Yeah, I know. You know you're a target. Yeah, I know. You need to know this. Some of the things you go through in life, you think they're for the moment you go through them. They're not for that moment. They're for the moment that's ahead. You had to learn to stand at that moment. You had to obey God at that moment so that He knew you would obey Him at this moment. Because He was going to take you somewhere where you went, really, God? Oh yeah, I'm going to have you speak. I'm going to have you minister. Nobody becomes a minister overnight. God begins to position you. And you'll think, oh, I went through that for this reason? Yeah, because you're going to help this person. So they're targeting you. Or we're going to track you, you know. You're just one person, Deneille. You can't just stand alone. I mean, you just can't do this. Who do you think you are? I have received interesting messages and phone calls and things. Sometimes I'm taken back just a little. And I said, I am nothing but the servant of the Lord. But I'm also the shepherd over these sheep.